What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Zero Lab. Today we're taking a look at another Pokemon TCG Pocket deck with Wigglytuff EX. Now, Wigglytuff is a normal type EX Pokemon that hasn't seen a ton of play right now in the game, but I do think that this deck has the potential to be pretty strong and have some good matchups against the top decks like Mewtwo and Pikachu EX. So we're going to take a look at the deck list here first, and then we're going to jump into a couple battles to see how we can fare against the latter. And then you can make up your mind, do you want to pursue opening up those Wigglytuff EXs to build this deck yourself? So taking a look at the list here, we have a 2-2 Coughing Wheezing line. Obviously, the Wheezing is a great Pokemon to set up behind in TCG Pocket. It has the Gas Leak ability that says once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may make your opponent's active Pokemon poisoned, and then it has a great attack with that tackle. Just for 1 energy, does 30. Combined with that poison damage, we can be chipping away at our opponent's Pokemon. So we set up behind the Wheezing because we also have Koga supporter card that says put your Muck or Wheezing in the active spot into your hand. So Wheezing can take a couple of attacks from our opponents, and then we can scoop up that Wheezing with this Koga, heal off all that damage, and sort of deny prizes to our opponent that way. The reason we need to set up behind Wheezing is because Wigglytuff has the Sleepy Song attack that takes 3 colorless energies to attack with, so it takes a little bit of time to power up. There's no energy acceleration for Wigglytuff, so we have to manually attach to it. So we set up behind that Wheezing, save ourselves some turns, tank some damage from our opponents until we can power up the Sleepy Song attack. But once we have it powered up, the Sleepy Song attack does 80 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. Sleep is a great status condition in the game. Your opponent flips a coin between turns. If they flip heads, they wake up. If they flip tails, they are still asleep. If they are asleep, they cannot retreat and they cannot attack. And so that can buy us some turns against these decks where we have to two-shot them potentially with the Sleepy Song. Obviously, doing only 80 damage doesn't one-shot things like Pikachu EX and Zapdos EX. Or Mewtwo EX, but it does two-shot them. And so if we can keep them asleep and they can't wake up, then they're not going to be able to attack into our Wigglytuff. And we also are playing the 1 prize Wigglytuff as well, just for an additional 1 prize attacker. It has that Hyper Voice attack for 60. So maybe we take a couple hits with Wheezing, maybe we take a couple hits with the single prize Wigglytuff, and then we go into our Wigglytuff EX to end the game. But rounding out the deck list, we have that 2-2 Wheezing line, 2 Jigglypuffs, 1 non-EX Wigglytuff, and then 2 Wigglytuff EXs. Then we have 2 X Speeds, 2 Pokeballs, 2 Research, 2 Koga, 2 Giovanni, and 1 Sabrina. So that is our Wigglytuff Wheezing deck, and we are going to take it onto the ladder here, jump into a few games, and see how we can do. So we have found our opponent here. And we'll see what we are battling against. We do tend to like to go second with this deck. I do think most decks actually in TCG Pocket want to go second. Looks like we are starting a Jigglypuff here. We do have the Pokeball in hand to go find Coughing, as we have our other basic Pokemon in our hand in that second Jigglypuff. So Pokeball guaranteed here to go find our Coughing. Our opponent playing an Articuno EX deck, so we could be a little bit scared of a turn 1 Misty. Maybe I should have benched both Jigglypuffs. But if we get punished for it, then we just learn our lesson, right? But as Misty so often does, we are not punished. Tails on that first coin flip. Another Pokeball coming down from our opponent, benching another Articuno EX, and a Lapras EX. Lapras EX, the new EX card in the game, running in an event right now. So go pick up your Lapras EX from that event. If you haven't yet, we do have a video on our channel about the Lapras event, so go check that out if you're wanting to learn more. But we Pokeball here for our Coughing. We're going to mention the other Jigglypuff. We're going to attach to our active Jigglypuff this turn, and then pass. The reason we're attaching to the active is we want to load up energy on a Jigglypuff, but we also may need to retreat out into the Wheezing next turn, so we just want to have the option to retreat next turn, so we can go into the Wheezing, but we also want to have the option to not manually retreat next turn if we can draw into an X Speed. Sadly, we did not draw into the X Speed, so we're going to evolve into our Wheezing. We're going to retreat into the Wheezing. We are going to Gas Leak. And then we'll play the Giovanni. Just get a little extra damage down on this Articuno. And then we'll tackle here for 40. So doing 50 damage now with that extra poison damage between turns. And we'll see what our opponent's able to put together here. We obviously need to start drawing into our evolutions. So we need to find our Wigglytuffs. We need to get some energies down onto our Jigglypuffs before our opponent is able to do anything too crazy. But we do see a Sabrina coming down here from our opponent. They're going to Ice Wing onto our Jigglypuff. It looks like 40 damage coming down onto our Jigglypuff. Poison taken away at that Articuno. Going to play Research here, hoping to draw into an X-Speed and a Jigglypuff. Or sorry, a Wigglytuff. There is the Wigglytuff. We're going to retreat out of Jigglypuff into the Weezing. Then evolve into Wigglytuff to prevent or protect ourselves from that bench damage on that Jigglypuff that they damaged last turn. And we already have them poisoned, so we don't need to Gas Leak, but we will just tackle here. And 40 damage left on our opponent's only attacking Pokemon. The question is, will they choose to attack us this turn with a Blizzard, or will they just Ice Wing into our Weezing while they set up another Pokemon on the bench? They do have that potion, so that's going to make things a little awkward for us. We do have the Giovanni, as long as they don't have a second potion. They go down to 50, and we can do 40, and then 10 from the damage, from the poison damage should do it. So there is the Blizzard. We're going to risk it this turn. We're not going to Koga this Weezing. We are going to just attach for turn onto our bench Jigglypuff because we want to turn that into a Wigglytuff EX. And then we are going to Giovanni to get the KO on this turn, well, between turns, really. Tackle come down onto the Articuno for 40, then the poison between turns will knock out that Articuno EX. Now our opponent's going to have a really good Misty to still be in this game. We have a good hand. We have the Koga, and we have the Research. So we will probably... Depends on what our opponent does here, but we may Koga the Weezing, or we may just Research, try to find our Wigglytuff EX. Attachment for turn coming down onto that Lapras EX. We have a Sabrina in hand. So we are gonna Research this turn. Would love to draw into our Wigglytuff EX. There's our second Weezing, and there is our Wigglytuff EX. That is great. All right, we're gonna evolve both of those. And then Gas Leak here to poison this Lapras EX. Gonna tackle it as well. And we are in a really good spot to win this game now. We have the Koga in hand to get out of this Weezing and attack with Wigglytuff EX next turn. And there is the concession from our opponent. So winning that game 1 against Articuno. Got a little lucky on that first turn. Again, they flipped tails on that Misty, but that is what happens sometimes when you play with that Misty. So sending a thanks to our opponent, and we will jump into a game 2 with this Wigglytuff deck. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the video. If you are, don't forget to like, leave a comment on what you think of the deck, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Moving on into game 2 here with our Wigglytuff EX. Let's see what we can do. Going second again this game. That's great. Hopefully we can start coughing, and we do. We sadly do not have a way to find a Jigglypuff right now, although we have that Wigglytuff EX in hand. So hopefully we can find the Jigglypuff on our first turn. Looks like we're going up against Pikachu EX. Again, this is a fast and aggressive deck. The Pikachu EX deck is. So we need to get it set up quickly in this matchup, or we can be in trouble. So we need to find that Jigglypuff. We have the Koga Weezing in hand, doing pretty well there, but sadly, no Jigglypuff yet. Thankfully, our opponent cannot do any sort of massive damage on their next turn, because you do not get to attach an energy for turn going first in TCG Pocket right now. So we get that Suffocating Gas attack down onto that Pikachu, and we'll see what sort of hand our opponent has here. Our Wheezing, getting damaged this turn, or our Coughing getting damaged this turn would be rough, but they just attach Pass onto that bench to Pikachu EX. So we're going to evolve here. And then we're going to research and hope that we can find a Jigglypuff. There's our second Coughing, and there's a Jigglypuff. That is great. That is exactly what we wanted to see. Attach for turn coming down onto that Jigglypuff. We are going to Gas Leak on this Pikachu, and we're going to take the first knockout between turns with that poison damage after we tackle this Pikachu. So great start for us. Our opponent has obviously a fast and aggressive deck, but we're drawing well right now. I think we're in a good spot to win this. We have both of our Weezings. We've got the Koga in hand. We've got the Wigglytuff EX. And we are getting our energies attached. So we are in a very good spot right here. But the Pikachu deck is very strong, so you don't want to count it out too early. Our opponent's sending up that Zapdos EX. And we'll see what they're able to do here. Attachment for turn coming down onto the Zapdos. Looks like our Weezing will get pecked here, setting up a little bit of damage on that Weezing. Obviously, between Peck and a fully powered Circle Circuit, our Weezing would get knocked out. We're going to attach... Okay, we have a couple of options here. I'm thinking we probably want to save the Sabrina. Attach return onto the Wigglytuff. So the question here is, do we Koga this Weezing and save it? We could also Sabrina the Pikachu EX and get some damage loaded up on that. And I think that's what we're going to do. So Sabrina can come down, bring up that Pikachu EX. We're going to Gas Leak onto it, get some damage set up on it. And then tackle our opponent here. That could be a little bit dangerous, but it does bring this Pikachu EX down to 80. So our Wigglytuff EX can one-shot the Pikachu now. That is a little bit dangerous, though, if they choose to start powering up that Zapdos EX. It has that powerful Thundering Hurricane attack where they flip 4 coins, and for each heads, they do 50 damage. So if they do that, we could be in a bit of trouble. If they just attack with the Pikachu EX here, we win. So they have to sort of make up their mind on what they want to do on this turn. If they don't attack with the Pikachu EX and they go back into the Zapdos and just peck or something like that, then we are able to Koga on this turn and heal off all that damage. So we are in a very good spot right now. Waiting on our opponent here, I think they know that this game is pretty well locked up for us. We're in a very good spot. The Zapdos is the only thing that can one-shot our Wigglytuff EX, but we're not giving that to them until we absolutely have to. Waiting on the opponent. Sometimes, you know, people have seen that they've lost the game, and instead of conceding, they just let that timer run out. And so we just have to be a little bit patient here. X speed come down to retreat out of that Pikachu EX. Question is, what will they give us? They just pass. All right. And now we have game. We'll just attach for turn onto the Wigglytuff EX. Koga our active Weezing. And then go into that Wigglytuff EX. Sleepy Song for the knockout. And there it is. Our opponent concedes. So, 2 for 2 on the Wigglytuff EX deck right now. Beating the best deck in the game right now in that Pikachu EX deck. We're going to jump into a game 3 with Wigglytuff and see what we can do. Keep that Sleepy Song going. Looks like we are going first this game. That's all right. We get to start that Jigglypuff. We have a Research and a Pokeball in hand. So fairly good hand for us to start. Looks like we are going up against another lightning deck. Can we go 2 for 2 against the powerful lightning decks? We will see. We're going to start out with a Pokeball here, thin a Pokemon out of the deck. There is a second Wigglytuff. We are going to research here, hope we can find a Coughing. There's an X speed and a Pokeball, so we do find the Coughing. We will bench Jigglypuff. And then we will end our turn there. All right. If we could draw into Wheezing next turn, that would be great. We have the X speed to retreat out of Jigglypuff. We have the Coughing ready to go. We have a Koga in hand. So we just need to start drawing well. It looks like our opponent is choosing to power up that benched Pincurchin. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to attach to... So we could just attack into the Zapdos with Coughing. But I think what we're going to do is attach to the benched Jigglypuff and just pass. So if they attack with Pincurchin, they probably have the X speed here because they were going into that Pincurchin. I think I maybe messed up a little bit there. Maybe I should have attached the active Jigglypuff. I was thinking about evolving can save us from that paralysis. X speed, Wigglytuff. All right, so we do have the Wigglytuff still in hand. I should have attached to the active so we could then evolve out of that paralysis, but we don't actually end up getting paralyzed anyway. So never punished. Draw into the Giovanni. That's what we want to see. This is the perfect hand for us because now we are OHKOing that Pincurchin with the Wigglytuff. So we're going to X speed out of that Jigglypuff. Retreat into Wigglytuff, Giovanni for the knockout. Hyper Voice on the single prize Wigglytuff, taking that knockout for us. I'm going to be setting up some good damage on this Zapdos. Obviously, they don't have anything else on their side powered up, so we're just going to be able to keep attacking with this Wigglytuff while we power up our other bench Jigglypuff, hopefully evolve into the EX later. Professor's Research coming down from our opponent. Draw into a couple cards. I'm sure they're looking for a Pikachu EX, and they find it. Question is, do they peck into this Wigglytuff? And they do choose to do that. Oh, they just passed. Okay. Well, we have the evolution here. We're going to evolve into Wigglytuff, start powering it up, and then we're just going to hyper voice this Zapdos EX. Potion to heal up that Zapdos a little bit from our opponent there. And just pass, no pecks, all right. We'll attach to the Wigglytuff EX on the bench, evolve into Wheezing. We've got the Koga in hand. Hyper Voice to do 60 more damage to the Zapdos EX. Research coming down. Our opponent was building up to that Thundering Hurricane, but it's not going to matter. We are going to knock out next turn. Unless they retreat, but in which case they've wasted all of their energy attachments on that Zapdos. So we're also okay with that. And there's the concession from our opponent. 3 for 3 today with the Wigglytuff EX. 2 for 2 against the best deck in the format in that Pikachu EX. So Wigglytuff seems to be a very underrated deck right now in TCG Pocket. If you haven't, go ahead and try to pull your Wigglytuffs, craft them if you have the crafting materials, able to do that, or grab them from a Wonder Trade if you're lucky enough to do so. But Wigglytuff EX, great deck in the format right now. I think that is being pretty underrated. So if you like this video, if it helped you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.